Hello, hello. We are live. Welcome to Cooking with Chef Frank. Hi, my name is Frank Kramer. I am the founder of Eat Like a Vegan Chef. And today we are featuring cooking without oil. Let's wait until everyone comes in and then we're going to start. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Cooking with Chef Frank. Let's wait until everyone comes in and then we'll start. If you don't mind introducing yourself and with your name, so I know you're there. It's always nice to talk to an audience. Hi, Devonda. Hi, Melissa. Okay, great. Excellent. Hi, Mary. Wonderful. Okay. Welcome. Welcome. Excellent. Welcome. Um, okay, so again, my name is Frank Kramer. I'm the founder of Eat Like a Vegan Chef. And today we are going to feature cooking without. So I'm going to go a little bit deeper in why I don't use oils and the benefits of it. Wonderful. Excellent. Excellent. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Hi, Stacy. Welcome. Welcome. Excellent. Good. Let's wait just a few more seconds until everyone comes in, and then I will start. Okay, how is everyone doing on their fourth day of the challenge? How is it going so far? Great, great, excellent. Okay, so I saw some really great posts on the challenge Facebook group. Some of you already have lost some weight. That's absolutely awesome. Kimberly saying so far so good. Okay, how is everyone doing on the challenge so far? Melissa saying it is great. I feel so good. Kathy said, I think I missed that. What is the challenge? Okay, we are right in the middle of the 7-day challenge right now. We have started Monday, so to speak. Preparation was Saturday, Sunday of last week, and the challenge actually is finished on Sunday. Monday is weigh-in, and Tuesday we have a little celebration for everyone. So, but not to worry, we have another challenge coming up. Actually, this one is the ultimate Eat Like a Vegan Chef challenge. It's a 30-day challenge in January. Starts January 2nd, and that is going to be truly the ultimate challenge. And in my opinion, it's going to be a life-changing challenge. So everyone who is not really on a whole food plant-based lifestyle, it's going to be life-changing. If anyone who experience any kind of aches and pains and some kind of I'm not going to say diseases or so, but it's going to be a game changer, especially if you're vegetarian or vegan already and you're trying to improve your nutrients, then this is for you. If you want to lose weight, if you want to detox, this is going to be for you. Excellent, excellent. Great, great. So let's see. Marcia is saying, I'm doing well, eating great food. Thank you. Wonderful. Okay, Anjana is saying, how do you compromise on the taste of oil? Cooking with oil is tasty. What do you do to make it tasty? That's a good question, Anjana. Very good. I'll get there in a minute. Marie is saying, doing fine. Jacqueline says, food is delicious. Group is supportive. Thank you. Stacy saying, no headaches today. Yay. Very good. Karen says she lost 4 pounds. That's amazing. Nice. Good. Excellent. Wonderful. Celeste is saying, spell check, Anjana. I would also like to know how to get more flavor in the missing oil. Okay, we'll get to that. Devonda saying looking forward for the 30-day challenge. Yeah. Koala saying awesome. And Mary saying looking forward for the 30-day challenge. Hi Vicky, how are you? Okay, hello everyone. Again, welcome to Cooking with Chef Frank. Today I'm going to feature cooking without oil, and I'm going to go into the benefits of it and see, I'm going to go a little bit deeper, and I'm going to answer your questions, and I'm also talk about the benefits, why I cook without oil, and I'd like to touch base a little bit about nutrient density of ingredients and calorie density, because that's a fundamental difference, which we really not been trained on in the Western diet. So that's what I'm trying to touch base on. Okay, Celeste is asking also, you suggest fruit before meals. Is that to help you fill you up first, or something about digestion? Digestion, correct. Because raw fruit and vegetables, there are some exceptions. Most raw ingredients are digested faster than the cooked foods. There are some exceptions. Apples don't digest very fast. Carrots stay quite a long time. So those you have to really cut down really, really small in order for them to digest faster. But like lettuces and other fruits, citrus fruits, and any kind of, almost all the other fruits are digested much, much faster than apples and carrots. So you can see it in such a way, the harder the fruit, the longer it takes to digest them. So you want to cut them down or grate them in order, if you want to eat them before the meal. Okay, great. Good. Okay, so today I'm going to cook just a little vegetable stew. And for those of you who haven't seen how to cook without oil or skeptical, I'm going to show you how I do that, and I'm going to show you how I improve the flavor in there. I understand that anyone who's concerned that oil is a flavor enhancer, 100%, hands down, it is. And Julia Child already said that, butter is flavor, and she was 100% spot on. That's how I was trained in my, when I did my apprenticeship in classic French cuisine. We used butter, we used cream, all those fatty ingredients, they improve flavor in it. But since we are omitting all these ingredients, we have to find a different solution for that. And I go over this while I'm cooking my stew. Okay, it's a solid point, but then don't forget about it. The benefits you get with cooking without oil are much, much more beneficial than if you cook with butter or oil or cream. Okay, much, much more beneficial. And you can only realize this when after a few weeks or months of cooking with this, you realize you will feel much lighter, much better. So I can just highly recommend that. Okay, great. So let's start. And I start with the vegetable stew, and then I touch base on the benefits of it. Okay, but I just want to show you how you can improve the flavor if you don't cook without oil. Koala is saying, can't wait to see a recipe. I just omit beef for mine. Okay. Hold on 1 second. I usually don't answer phone calls, but let me just. Hello? No, I'm having my live stream right now. Can I call you back? No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm good. I'm good. Okay. Bye. You're welcome. Sorry about that. Okay, good. So today I'm just gonna I want to show you a recipe which is really difficult to cook without oil, and that's eggplant. I love eggplant, and usually eggplant requires a lot of oil to cook with. And I want to prove to you that you can cook eggplant without oil. Okay, so I'm going to heat the pan on high heat. I'm going to add onions, chopped onions, some garlic, okay. Melissa's saying, I already feel better without oil. Wow, that's great. I will get into the benefits in just a moment. Just a moment. So as you can see, I have no oil in my pan. It's completely bone dry. But because onions have quite a bit of oil inside the onions, so it actually hydrates them a little bit. So we just want to make sure that I want to caramelize the onions slightly. You can see that once they start to get a little bit brown, I'm going to add water to it just to make sure they don't burn, okay? And I use my filtered water for that. So I like to saute my onions first when I change without water or anything. I'd like to caramelize them slightly before I add water to it. And this is part of the flavor. I'd like to caramelize my fruit, or I'm sorry, my vegetables. Every time I add onions, I add garlic, I add mushrooms. I do this in stages. So every time I do that, every time I add a new vegetables, I'd like to caramelize it. That only takes a few, maybe a minute maximum. But by doing so, I'm actually increasing the flavor in there. I'm actually adding layers of flavor. I could put everything at once in and just cook it. It's not the same as if I add one after the other. Okay. Okay, I'm going to add mushrooms and my eggplant. Okay, I'm going to add a little water. I don't know if you can see that. You see how the water is actually turning brown. That is the caramelization of the onion. So this is the first stage of giving the dish flavor. Okay. So and now I'm going to saute the eggplant for at least probably 4 or 5 minutes because I'd like to caramelize them as well. And it's going to take some time because I do not use oil. I have to add water like every minute. So I don't want to let them burn, but I'd like to caramelize them slightly. So that's how I add flavors to my dish. So when you add oil to it, the oil actually is responsible to add flavor to it because you don't have to add any water to it. You deglaze it later maybe once with a little, whatever liquid you have, wine or whatever liquid you'd like to use. But I use water, so I hydrate the vegetables so they don't burn on the bottom. But every time the water disappears or reduces, and you see on the bottom of the pan, it's actually starting to get brown. This is flavor. You don't want it black. You want it just slightly brown. That's the caramelization process of the vegetable in there. This is the same if I would make a vegetable broth, but I'm creating a micro process of a vegetable broth every time I caramelize vegetables. That's why I'm adding flavor. And as you can see, I do not cook with broth. I only cook with water because every time I add vegetables and I let them caramelize slightly, I'm adding flavor. So if you, and obviously, if I give you two dishes, one cooked with oil, one without, you might taste the difference. But if um, I would almost say that if I cook a dish for you without oil, you will not taste the difference because I make it up with seasonings, with herbs, and my caramelization process. So you're not going to miss the oil later on. But here's the thing. Every time you add oil to it, that is a tablespoon is 250 calories. For that, I needed at least 3 or 4 tablespoons of oil because the eggplant will absorb all the oil within seconds. And so you add more oil to it in order to get them caramelized. And it's going to take a while. So very often we add like 4 or 5 tablespoons to this dish. 1 tablespoon, 250 calories. 4, it's 1,000 calories we are already adding to that dish. So you can actually indulge yourself in this meal later on, knowing that you saved 1,000 calories in your food, and that's awesome. And that's how we lose weight. That's the whole key. So now the caramelization process starts. It takes a little bit longer. And I have to add a little bit of water every time. Just a little, not much. And I'm sauteing on high heat. Okay. Good. And if you like, you can add a little salt to it. Salt is obviously optional. I use a little bit, but you don't have to. Okay, let's see if we have any comments so far. Oh, that's so nice, Melissa. Melissa's saying, I made the stuffed mushrooms today, and it was beautiful, a beautiful sight. Never thought I could cook this way. That's wonderful. You're very welcome, Melissa. Wonderful. Great. Cheryl's saying, did I miss what type of cookware you're using? Okay, it's a non-stick, yeah. But I must say that this is a really cheap pan. I went to a very cheap store and bought this pan. But I don't have all my equipment here, so I usually cook in New York. Here I just cook with bare minimum stuff. That is just a Teflon, regular Teflon. I usually don't like to cook with Teflon because once the Teflon is scratched, you can forget about it, and all the heavy metals are leaching out into the food. You don't want that. But I usually cook with a scan pan. A scan pan is a pan from Scandinavia. I think it's Denmark. I think the link is in the preparation module in the library. I can also post it here if you want. So this scan pan is brilliant to cook without oil. It is not a pan where you could do an egg in. That would stick without oil. There are other pans like ceramic pans. You could do that, but I have never cooked with ceramic pans. I like this scan pan. You could do a pancake in there without oil and it wouldn't stick. So that's, from that point of view, is great. Okay. So you see, I just want you to see, it's sticking to the pan, okay, but nothing is burning, it's just sticking a little bit. This becomes flavor. If I add my water to it, you will see everything is going to be gone. I don't know if you can see the caramelization process. See how brown it gets? This is flavor. This is pure flavor. It's not burnt. It's caramelized. It's pure flavor. Our eggplant are almost ready. And as you can see, the pan is completely clean here again. So nothing is stuck to the bottom of the pan. Okay, now I'm adding my peppers and my tomatoes to it. And you could add beans to it as a protein. I have enough beans in the refrigerator, so I'm not going to add beans, but that would be ideal to add beans to it. Okay. Yes, Wilda, you always see caramelization with water cooking, but you know it might take some time to to learn this process. It's different than cooking with oil, because with oil you have an automatic caramelization process because the heat is much hotter. You see, when we cook with water, the temperature doesn't get as hot as with oil. That is a fundamental difference than if I cook with oil. With oil, the temperature gets really high because you can heat up oil up to 3, 4, 500 degrees. When you see water is boiling, that is exactly 212 degrees Fahrenheit. So, and the food doesn't get much hotter than that because you cook with water. So our nutrients are much better preserved than in oil. Okay, I see we have quite a few audience who came late, and I think I need to just. Jenny says, I also missed the beginning of the live video. Can you quickly tell me how you started? Absolutely, Jenny. Yeah. So, but I started with, I'm demonstrating how to cook without oil. And I started with onions and garlic. Then I added eggplant and mushrooms. And I let every vegetable caramelize. So the onions, I started to let caramelize. So until it gets slightly brown, I add water to it. And I repeat this process. It might take a little bit longer than usual, but it's, you know, when you add water to it, you loosen the caramelization process on the pan, on the bottom of the pan, which is your flavor. That's what you want. And I add water like every minute or 2 minutes, just a little, maybe not even a quarter cup, probably less than that. And so I add my vegetables one after the other. So I'm adding layers of flavors to my dish by giving, every 2-3 minutes, add another vegetable to it. So you see, you couldn't tell if I cooked with or without oil. Look how beautiful the eggplant have caramelized. So I also wanted to talk about benefits of cooking without oil and go a little bit deeper into nutrient-dense food and calorie-dense food. Okay, so I only did these vegetables here just to demonstrate how to cook without oil and how easy it is. And some of the questions said in the beginning, how do you improve the flavor if you don't cook with oil? Because oil has a lot of flavor. And this is exactly how I do it. I cook in layers, so to speak. So every few minutes I add another vegetable to it and I caramelize the vegetables and then I add the next vegetable to it. So I add a lot of flavors. I call it the layers of flavors to my dish. By doing so, you actually don't sacrifice the flavor. Okay, so this is almost done. Water. Okay. So now I'm going to add my spinach in just a second. Turn it down a little bit. Add just a little bit of water. Now you can add a little bit of teriyaki to it. This is a light teriyaki. You can also make your own teriyaki sauce. It's 50% soy sauce, 50% rice wine, reduced. That becomes soy sauce. So there's no added sugars. The only thing is the rice wine has sugar, obviously. But once you if you reduce those, usually you have to reduce it 30-40%. You come up with a sugar content in there, but at least you haven't added any sugar, if you know what I mean. It's important that you don't add like maple syrup, agave, or whatever. Once you cook with this, it mixes with all the vegetables, so it's, you know, your body is not basically absorbing all the sugar at once because it's mixed with all the fibers in there, so it should be okay. Then of course you don't add too much teriyaki sauce to the dish, maybe a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons at the most. So you're adding maybe 2 or 3 grams of sugar, which is, you know, it's not good, but we didn't add, you know, the white sugar to it. But you know, this is more like a cheat day meal, so to speak. You don't want to cook this way every day, but once in a while it's okay. Okay. So you see how beautiful it has caramelized, and that's without any oil. I'm just gonna add a little bit spinach to it, my green leafy vegetables, and then I'm gonna serve it with brown rice or quinoa. And that's it. Good. And that's my vegetable. As you can see, the bottom of the pan is completely clean. I don't know if you can see, but it's clean. Nothing sticks to it. And let me just serve it on the plate so you can see how it looks. Obviously, there's not much protein in here. So there is protein here, but not enough to sustain you for a few hours. So you want to add either beans or you want to add quinoa or sweet potatoes, brown rice. Okay. Just to keep you full. So that's your very, very simple vegetable stew, cooked without oil, and I don't think you're sacrificing any flavor in it. Okay, good. Let's see. Good. Celeste is saying she has scan pans. Great. Yeah, Ajana is saying I was adding all vegetables together. That's what we usually do. And I don't think you're doing yourself a favor. By cooking like this, you're adding more flavor to your meal. Because when we cook without oil, we're sacrificing obviously some flavor. And adding flavors this way will definitely, yeah, Carol, absolutely. Usually I would put fresh parsley and oregano or so in there. I didn't, but you have a good point, Carol. Good point. I actually, I'm not going to eat now, but you're absolutely right. I usually add fresh herbs, definitely. Good for reminding me. Herbs are definitely very important. So that's something very important. Oh, hi Tina, thank you. Um, okay, good. So let's go into cooking without oil. And I touched base cooking without oil before. Let me just repeat it a little bit. Okay, Cassie is sneaking in. That's great. um, how much time to saute so it caramelizes perfectly versus burning? That's a good point. You know, it is. Eggplant takes longer, and that's why I use eggplant because eggplant is difficult to cook without oil. Eggplant is like a sponge; it absorbs everything you put into it. And as I mentioned before, when you add oil to it, it absorbs it all. So you need to add oil, and the oil actually disappearing inside the eggplant. So you're adding a lot of calories to it. I would say um, when you want to make sure you add water as soon as you see it starting to stick to the bottom. You don't want it to stick to the bottom until it burns. So it just slightly sticks to the bottom of the pan, then you add water to it. So you literally add water every 2 minutes, like a quarter cup or so. And when you stir the pan, you will see that the water turns slightly brown. That's when you know it started to caramelize. You don't want to black. That's absolute, you want to prevent that. But it is something you will learn after time. You put your vegetables in, you let them stick slightly to the pan, add water to it, stir or shake, and then you add, let them caramelize a little bit more, add water again, then add the next vegetable, add water again, season. Towards the end, you put all your spices and your herbs in, okay? Okay, let's see. Yes, yeah, no, you're right. I'm wondering when we will use the fresh thyme and there was on the shopping list. Okay, so yes, that is actually that is a good point. Herbs, and there was I should have mentioned it earlier. I use herbs in every dish, absolutely every dish. But to be honest, I don't have herbs right now. I use all my herbs, and you got me there. But I use herbs all the time. This is very important. The reason why I added 2 or 3 different kind of herbs is you should always have herbs ready when you cook, and it's just something. It makes your food much better. It makes it taste much better. So that's a good point. Okay, I'm just going to go through the questions here. Yeah. You know, today's recipe, it's not a recipe from what we have in the library. Today's presentation was purely only cooking without oil. That's why I didn't prepare any herbs or anything. This was not meant to be, you know, a complete sort of recipe. There was only as a presentation for cooking without oil. That's why I didn't add any herbs to it. So please, you know, forgive me here. This is only for presentation purposes. How long the eggplant? Well, again, it takes 5-6 minutes probably to saute it until all the sides are nicely caramelized. Okay. Are there any other sauces that could be used instead of soy? Absolutely. Yeah, you can use any kind of sauce for your vegetables. The sky's the limit what you can use. As long as if you buy sauces in a ready-made sauces in a shop, you want to make sure that you don't have too many added sugars or no added sugars at all. With teriyaki, it's difficult. Again, that's why I said you can make your own if you like. Caramelize at what heat? That's a good question, Stephanie. High heat. I always caramelize on high heat. So because if you do it on medium heat, it's going to take forever. So it's on high heat, and then I add water to it, because every time I add water, the pan cools down. So when you see the water starts to boil, the temperature of the vegetables in the pan is no more than 220. The water is 212 when it starts to boil. But if you cook with oil, the temperature goes up to 300-400. So it's a big, big difference. Okay. Let's see what else I missed. Okay, I have found oil-free at the healthy grocery store called Mustard Seed here in Northern Ohio. I don't know what you mean by that. Okay, but I want you to understand that when you cook without oil, stick with the basics first. See what kind of flavor you would like to add to your vegetables, because you can go in any kind of direction. You know, for instance, you can go Asian style, you can go Chinese. You know, you can do that with any kind of soy, or the Japanese teriyaki sauce. You can go Italian. That's when you add your, let's say, basil and oregano, and then maybe tomatoes or tomato sauce. Then you can go Indian. You can add Indian spices to it. So there's so many directions you can use. You can go, if you wanted to, like cream-based sauce. You can do this with a nut butter, like soy or almond butter, almond milk. You can do that too, but obviously you're adding more fat to it. So I want you to learn the basics first. Cook your vegetables just with basic, ingredients, some herbs and some black pepper to the end, and then maybe a little hot sauce if you like, and then see how they taste. So, and then another day, practice with, turmeric, curry, and cumin. So do that one day, and then another day you can see how, a light, like a tamari sauce, a light soy sauce, how that tastes, just a little bit, not much, and or Italian with tomato sauce. And so just I want you to get into the habit of practicing this, because once you know the basics, the sky's the limit of what you can do with your dishes. Okay. And that's what I want you to look at this sauce here. I don't know if you can see this. You see? What a beautiful sauce in here. I don't know if you can see it. No? So And that's all without oil. Okay. Let's see if I missed any questions here. Tips on blooming whole dry spices without oil. What do you mean by blooming? Anjana was asking about where to find oil-free hummus. Okay, Whole Foods has oil-free hummus. Canva is selling it. It's a brand, Canva. There's quite a few other brands oil-free. But you can make it yourself. It's pretty easy. You just use water instead of oil. Yes, yeah. Tina, Dr. Esselstyn, Dr. Campbell, Dr. McDougall, Dr. Ornish, Dr. Popper, Chef AJ, these are all the leaders of cooking without oil. And it's nothing new, cooking without oil, but it's still in its infancy. And I think cooking without oil has tremendous amount of benefits to your health. And I think it's just very, very beneficial. Okay, let's go into why I don't cook with oil. First of all, I just mentioned it. 1 tablespoon has 250 calories. And again, with cooking with eggplant, you would have used at least 4 tablespoons. That's 1,000 calories you're saving with this meal. Look at this. With all the vegetables I used, I would have used at least 2 tablespoons of oil for this here. This is a small portion. So we're talking about 500 calories I saved on this dish. So now I can eat 500 calories more of something else, right? So if I could, 1 pound of rice, for instance, has, don't let me lie, 500 calories or so. Let me see. I think so, something like 500 or 600 calories, 1 pound, but 1 pound is a lot. So I could have sweet potatoes. 1 pound of sweet potatoes has not even 400 calories, not even, and 1 pound is a lot. So imagine I would eat this and, sweet potatoes. This doesn't have more than, I don't know, 200 calories, 250. So I add my sweet potatoes. We're talking about, and I'm not going to add a pound of sweet potatoes, maybe half a pound, which is still a lot. So we're talking about 200, so it's 450 calories. And it's a satisfying meal. And it gives you all the nutrients you need because I use green leafy vegetables, starchy vegetables, and non-starchy vegetables. So I get the nutrients of all of them. So, okay, another reason why I don't cook with oil is because oil prevents the production of nitric oxides. And I've mentioned this before. Nitric oxides is mentioned in many of the studies, as well as, forks over knives have it. All the doctors I just mentioned talk about this, Dr. Ornish in particular, because when you eat oil, it prevents the production of nitric oxides in your veins, so to speak. So when you can feel this, if you always eat with oil and you go up the stairs and you're out of breath, that's why your arteries didn't dilate, your blood vessels, they didn't dilate enough, so enough oxygen goes through your body. So you could see it in such a way. If you eat without oil, your blood vessels will dilate sufficiently. That means all your organs, everything is going to be, there will be enough oxygen supported or transported in your blood vessels, and you can go up the stairs without being out of breath. So if you eat a lot of oil, a lot of trans fat, meaning a lot of dairy and meats and chicken, so you have a lot of fats in there, and they block the production of nitric oxides. So nitric oxide just dilates those blood vessels, so more oxygen can go through. Very important. I have learned this when I was cooking for um, Daniel Jacobs, which is a world champion boxer. I cooked for him for 3 months. Actually, his trainer, I cooked for his trainer 3 months, who's a vegan. Um, so, and he was very active as well, the trainer. And cooking for them made me realize that if someone is an athlete, I have to cook a certain way. You know, like beets, for instance, are incredible for increasing performance. Incredible. Nutritional yeast. They had studies where people would eat beets and nutritional yeast, and their performance, their marathon performance, um, increases or improves quite a lot. So there's a lot of vegetables which are very, very beneficial. And then not eating the oil or omitting the oil is works wonders. That's why so many of my members are feeling so great after a week or 2 weeks, because you just improve your performance. You feel better, and it's a carbohydrates. Yes, yeah, correct. So it has it's a cycle. It gets better and better. Okay, let me see if I missed something. Can you please spell the brand of the oil free? Yeah, it's Kava. It's Dr. Esselstyn's. He has his own brand. Something with the train. What is this? Fire station. Fire. I don't know. I gotta look it up. So he has his own brand, and then there's quite a few other brands. I look it up. And then I can post it in the Facebook group. Okay, do we need any fats? I normally eat nuts, avocado, but not in a challenge. Yes, Jacqueline, that's another good point. So the reason why I omit nuts and avocados and all fatty foods during the challenge is because they have a lot of fats. If you want to lose weight, you don't need fat right now, because that's the very thing we're trying to get rid of. Every time you eat nuts, fatty foods, those fats are being transported to your cells and being stored. This is just almost like an emergency storage. Your body always stores everything if he doesn't burn it. And fat is usually stored as fat in the fat cells. So there's nothing you can do about it. We want to make sure that we burn our fat, not the fat. So we don't want to get too much additional fat. You do need some fat in order to absorb all your vitamins. And that's also a misconception that we don't absorb our vitamins. That means all these doctors, from Dr. Esselstyn to Dr. McDougall, they would be all dead and malnutrition, and they're not. It's a myth that we don't absorb. We need small amount of fats in order to absorb nutrients, and the body works in such amazing ways that science even hasn't grasped all of these things what happening in our body. So even nutrition is at its infancy right now. There's so much more to explore, but it looks like that a plant-based, a whole food plant-based, and oil-free lifestyle is really what makes you feel very good. And that's all I can say. I have researched it over and over and over again, and I just posted an article on Facebook where I also talk about oil and why I don't cook with oil. It's just so much more beneficial. Okay, and again, when you eat nuts, for instance, 1 pound of nuts has 2,300 calories. 2,300 calories per pound. That's a ton. And it has 240 grams of fat in 1 pound. When you go, remember, you go to the supermarket, buy a can of nuts, that's a pound of nuts. So, and how often we eat half a can of that in front of the TV? That means we just add, between 120 and 240 grams of fat. That means it's going to take the body forever to get rid of this fat. It's going to be stored. Remember, you you don't burn those fats right away because your body is burning sugars first. That's what the body does. And fat is being stored in fat cells. So that's why it's so hard to get rid of weight. Okay, talking about, let me just answer the other question here. Do we need any fats? No, okay. Engine 2 brand, yes, yes, good, 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 good. That Engine 2 brand is the other hummus. That's from Dr. Esselstyn's son, Junior. Um, Anjana. Anjana is saying, I didn't know that. Okay. Jacqueline is saying, yes, I eat ton of nuts. Makes sense why I have been having trouble losing weight. Yeah, it's just, now you know. And if you omit them, you will see you're going to lose weight much, much sooner. So now I want to get back into nutrition density and calorie density. That brings us back to fatty foods. Um, if I omit the avocados have about 700 calories per pound. Not that we eat a pound a day, but they have 60, 70 grams of fat per pound. Even if you eat half of it, you eat a lot of fat. It's good fat, it's healthy, but it's just not good during weight loss. Um, with nutty, or let's say with fatty vegetables, they are also nutrition dense, but they're also calorie dense. During the weight loss program, I'd like to use mainly nutrition dense foods. So that means all the non-starchy vegetables, starchy vegetables, and green leafy vegetables, they are nutrition dense. They're not calorie dense. The only ones are soy, that is both nutrition dense and calorie dense. So that's why I try to omit them throughout the challenge. But I use them on cheat days. On a cheat day, have a little bit of nut if you want, or a little bit of soy. That's why I added there. And this is that's for you to munch on, just to get a little bit of that. But for the most part, I like to use nutrient dense foods, and that will help you lose weight because you don't have the fat in there, but you have all the nutrients you need, and that's so important. So when you, for instance, if you eat, let's say, you have, for those of you who still eat meat, you have your 8-ounce chicken or whatever it is, then you have your cup of vegetables and your cup of potatoes. So what really makes you fat, not fat, but makes you full is the chicken in there, because the chicken is calorie dense, so to speak, even though it doesn't have too many calories per pound, but it has the fat in there, and it fills you up. But if you omit the chicken or the beef, whatever you eat, you can remember, at 100 calories of vegetables, most calories have between 100 and 2, most vegetables have between 100 and 200 calories. So you can add literally half a pound of vegetables to your meal and feel so much better. And you don't have any nutrients in chicken. You have some, but the nutrients in vegetables are so much better, so much better. So you cannot even compare those. Okay. How do you feel about using chickpea liquid in place of oil in dressings? You can do that. Yeah, you can do that. I try not to use too much of the chickpea liquid, because we usually throw out the liquid. I use it for baking here and there. I use it to foam it up, use it as a, makes my muffins or whatever I cook fluffier, and it works great on a pound cake. But I don't want to use it too often. It's definitely very interesting. You could do that. Maybe use it from BPA free cans. I mean, that would work. Yeah. Okay. And I think I want to just touch base on why we have been eating the way, um, you know, why fatty ingredients have been made so popular in this country. That's because of obviously the keto and the paleo diet. And I mentioned it in my article too, what I posted on the private Facebook group, in our group. Um, it's the big companies, pharma, beef, dairy. They put these studies out, and the studies are biased. It's what interests them, and it's what they focus on. And it seems like, wow, that's great information, but it has only one purpose: buy dairy, buy beef or pork or chicken, whatever it is, or get pharma. Um, like vitamins, whatever it is. And this is an issue right now because we have the wrong information. I'm not saying that I have all the information, but I because I have read hundreds of books from different doctors, I have learned how to pick and choose what's right for me. And they open up your mind. They tell you where to find the right information. And there are sites from the government where you can look up information about studies, and you check it out. You see, very often you have posts like blog posts, and they talk about oil is great, fat is great, blah blah blah. And when you really follow the trail where the information came from, it ends up somewhere from a study what is done by the dairy industry. And that's the problem in this country. Um, we have to look at the information from a objective point of view, and not taking the wrong information. That's the problem, and that's why everyone is making money off of everyone. You go in the supermarket, you see keto, keto this, keto that, paleo that, and believe me, I did all these diets. I also did Dr. Perlmutter's. I was amazed when I read his book. I mean, he's a great doctor, but he's gluten free, and he says that grains are the demise of the humans. And I tried to eat without bread, without grains, and it made me sick. I love my bread, but I also love my other grains. And after reading many other books, there's much more benefits in eating grains than not. Then I tried the Bulletproof Diet. I loved him, Dave Asprey. I loved his book. I mean, phenomenal, great book to read. And I did his Bulletproof Diet, but it didn't work for me. So let's see if I missed any. Okay, is there any research that you dislike a vegetable you actually need? I only dislike kale, but can't hack it. kale is one of the most nutrient-dense vegetables on the planet. Even there's actually studies out there, even if you cook kale for over half an hour, like dirty laundry, you cook it for half an hour and it's still got all the nutrients in there. Phenomenal. Okay, yeah, Diane is saying it's the lobbyists that push for dairy. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Okay, fava, yeah, that's the one in chickpea water. Is good, like egg whites, correct, absolutely. Yeah. Tina's saying, I measure quantities. I would like to go fully vegan. I can include nuts in small amounts, but I can see the merits of excluding it. Yeah, I eat nuts and avocados on a daily basis, every day, even though, I have my concern about avocados because it's not very sustainable. Many people suffer where they're coming from. So from that point of view, I'm a little concerned with avocado, and I have to look a little bit deeper into that because I don't want to promote anything but hurts people, and avocados is such a thing because avocados need a ton of water to grow, and they need, I think, 2 or 3 years until they are ready to pick. So from that point of view, I really need to look into it, even though I love avocado. Is there any research on? Yeah, to be honest, there might be some vegetables out there which are researched, but no one is benefiting from it. You see, people or the big companies, they do studies, so it benefits them. By making a study about a vegetable for people to dislike it, it doesn't make, there's no money to be made for the big companies, in my opinion, if I understand your question right. But there's a lot of studies about corn and stuff. Corn is manipulated, gene manipulated, and 95% of all corn. So you want to be careful. You want to eat organic corn. But other than that, I don't think so. Also, I just wanted to touch base on organic. I know that we had some comments saying that organic foods are not what they really are, and I totally disagree with this statement. Organic foods are controlled by the government, and you cannot just go and grow fruit and vegetables and just put pesticides on it. They can use certain amount of pesticides, natural ones, but they cannot use the chemical ones. And here's a big difference of organic fruits and vegetables. They use proper soil, and they make sure that the soil is being used in different ways. Meaning, when you grow your vegetables, one year you grow corn in that field. The next year you grow a different vegetable in this one because the minerals are being depleted in there. So when you get your regular fruits and vegetables commercially grown, they put chemical fertilizers, and then chemical pesticides in there, which they run off into the ground and then into our waterways. Just research how the quality of our waterways are. If you research that, you will realize that our waters are almost 60% unlivable for seafood. That's because of the fertilizer, and we need to prevent that. And it's a vicious cycle. Not only that, the soil degrades when you use fertilizer. We have so far, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we have used up 60% of the entire soil in the United States. So there's only 40% left usable, and it's degrading. And I think by 2050, we have no more soil left. Texas is going to be a desert, complete desert. You can look it up in climate change forums or wherever, sites. You will see it. It's a very, very serious issue. So organic is definitely much, much better than your commercially grown foods. I know that sometimes they're expensive, but look at uh, the Dirty Dozen, and I think I have a link in the library. The Dirty Dozen tells you which vegetables you should be careful of and rather eat organic ones. And then you have the clean Dirty Dozen. You can look it up, the Dirty Dozen online by the Environmental Agency. Um, it's an agency but devotes itself to making sure which products are good for you and which ones are not. It's a great, great organization. So organic is definitely great. Okay. 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 Did I miss anything? Let me see. Um, I think I covered everything. Yeah, Melanie, that is true. But the whole organic, yes, I agree, Susan. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's a whole cycle, and you know what I that's why I do what I do. This is part of my why, and as again I recommend you going through the whole food um, plant-based transition planner in my library, where I put all the videos in, and it talks about sustainability, talks about agriculture, and it gives you an idea what's going on there. So it's very, very important. Okay, 70 saying formula you use to see if bread choice is good. Oh, the 5-to-1. Um, that's the fibers in there. So you want to make sure that you get enough fibers with your bread or whatever it is. So you divide the amount of fibers by the amount of carbs. So let's say, just to make a bad choice, like what's it, Wonder Bread, even the whole wheat Wonder Bread, that probably has, I don't know how much it is exactly, but I'm just giving you an example. That maybe has 20 carbs and has two fibers in there. So you divide this, you come up to a 10, but you want to be at 5 or below. That's why all my recipes in my library, if you divide the amount of fibers by the amount of carbs, you will always come below 5. There might be certain recipes, uh, fluctuate a little bit, but these are cheat recipes like brownies or whatever. But in almost all my recipes, I try to maintain the 5 or even below that ratio. And that's what you can do when you go in a supermarket and you buy. It doesn't matter what it is. Obviously, like peanut butter or almond butter, even they have a lot of um, yeah, it would work too. So it's you can do it with many uh, foods you buy in the supermarket. Obviously, if you buy whole food, you don't have to do it. Whole food is whole food, and um, this is always perfect. We're talking about processed foods where this ratio is important. Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely go to local farmers markets. Whenever I think they're in New York, they're quite a long time open, but I think they're going to close end of fall. But this is something very important. If you buy locally, you support those local farmers, and you avoid buying stuff what came 4,000 miles on a truck. And the nutrients in those foods are by no way as good as they are when you buy local food. Local food, it comes from the farm, because we, as a chef, we have done this. We contact our local farmers. We go there, we see what they grow, and once we order from them, we know that the food maybe 2, maybe maximum 3 days on the farm, and then it's shipped to us. When you buy foods, let's say strawberries, and they came from Mexico, that's, I don't know, 2, 3,000 miles away, and it driving 3,000 miles is going to take you 3, 4 days. Then it was probably 3, 4 days on a farm there. Then it's going to stay another 3, 4 days in the supermarket until it's sold. So we're talking about 10, 12 days in the supermarket. And that's when your nutrients are going. So even if you buy your berries and they're still looking okay, the nutrients in there are halfway gone. So that's why sometimes we think we get our nutrients, but we don't, because the fresher we buy, the better the nutrients in there. Anjana, so which bread do you suggest as 5 to 1? It's the Ezekiel bread. Does someone knows what the brand is? Hold on 1 second. Yeah, this is the brand I'm talking about. Can you see that? And the brand is Food Life, but it's known under Ezekiel, what's it called? Certified organic, and it's sprouted. So that's pretty cool. And if you look under the ingredients here, okay, you have 3 grams of fibers, and you have 15 carbs in there. That's exactly 5. So we have a ratio of 5. So we're just at the border, but it's still good. This is actually, they have even better ones, which have 4 or 5 fibers in there, but I couldn't get it here. But this is my favorite bread. This is where you get all your nutrients. It has a complete protein in here. It's pretty good. Ezekiel bread, yes, correct. Yeah. Stacy is saying my 11-year-old was hysterical when he say a sticker on a cucumber in the store that said Canada. Okay. By the way, better to get from Canada than from anywhere else, because Canada, they don't use gene manipulated foods. So from that point of view, it's a good thing, because in the States we have quite a lot of gene manipulated foods already, and they're not required to label them. Okay, Stephanie's saying used to fry whole dry spices in oil to bring out the flavor, yes, and aroma when cooking Indian dishes. Any tips to do this without oil? Yes, without oil. Just use them without oil. What you can do is use the whole grains and roast them until they really become fragrant. When you do that, after that, you're going to use the blender and grind them. So you have them roasted already. I know it's a tricky thing, and I thought about this many times. For my curry, for instance, I have a curry recipe in there. I do it without oil, and I saute I marinate my vegetables first in curry for maybe from a half an hour to a few hours. and then I roast them in my pan, and there's no liquid in there. So you can actually, and that because the marinade is dry, there is no liquid in the pan, and you can literally see how the spices are actually being roasted, but the vegetables are not burning. So that's, this is, maybe I'm going to do another curry soon, but that's definitely worthwhile. Yeah, better than China. Yeah, that's right. Yes. Okay, good, good. Let's see if I missed anything. But Stacy, your 11-old, he's good. He's realizing that, hey, it's from far away. Good job. Yes, local is best. Yeah, definitely. Okay, any other questions? So I explained why I don't use oil, why I don't use fatty ingredients in the weight loss program. It's just easier to lose weight this way. I explained why I use nutrient dense foods instead of calorie dense foods. Um, okay, maybe I just want to touch base on the oil because I think I mentioned it that we eat enough fat with our diet. Again, when you look at the recipes, there's a nutritional data underneath. Um, Look at the fat amount. Even though you don't add oil to it, you will see there's fat in there, and that fat is enough to absorb vitamins. Okay, I think I have addressed everything. Okay, I don't think any questions. If you have any questions, post them here. Otherwise, I would say thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it. Today was definitely more of a theory session than cooking, but I think it's very important for also for our new challengers. Why I cook without oil. Oh, can you explain the three type of veggies? Yes. Um, I try to put on my plate 1/3 of green leafy vegetables, 1/3 of starchy vegetables, 1/3 of non-starchy vegetables. That gives you a variety of nutrients of all the foods that your body needs. And if you do that and you eat enough of it, then you get enough protein and enough nutrients. Okay. You're welcome, everyone. You're welcome. Um, Welcome, Stacy. Welcome, Jacqueline. Okay. If there's nothing else, then I will see you in the challenge again. Okay. Celeste is asking, what recipe plan do we follow after this weeks? They will be published tomorrow. So I'm still creating them right now, but they will be published tomorrow. So you can order them. Okay, Valerie is asking, what do you cook if I don't cook with oil? Yes, correct, with water. It's it's too bad that you missed it, but I saute all the vegetables, I caramelize them, and I add water every 2 or 3 minutes, and that's how I cook with water and not with oil. So I replenish the liquid in the pan in order for the vegetables not to burn. If you have a chance, try to watch the recording. I explained when I was cooking the vegetables earlier on how to do this throughout the cooking. It's pretty simple, but I think if you have a chance, just look it over. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. And don't forget, we have on Saturday, 3 o'clock, 3 p.m., we have another session. Sunday, 4 p.m., batch cooking. Monday, weigh-in. And Tuesday, we're going to celebrate our challenge. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Yes, it will be posted later. It's recorded. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.